There are a lot of cameras out there that make it difficult to impossible to plug in an external microphone. That means you're stuck with the mic that's built into the camera and usually not a good thing. What are you going to do? I do something called double system sound. That's where I record my audio on a separate device and then stitch it back together with the video in editing. It's really not that difficult. So I'm going to show you how to shoot double system sound and then how to knit things back together in editing. If you already have files and you just want to know how to put it together in editing, click in the link in the description below and you can just jump ahead. So let's figure out how to shoot double system sound. The first question is probably, why bother with double system sound? Well, the microphone on a lot of these cameras, it's almost an afterthought. It's tiny and it's omnidirectional, which means it captures the background sound you don't want at the same volume level as the sound you do want. What you end up with is an absolute cluttered mess. Also, these microphones are located really close to the lens, and so if you have image stabilization or autofocus turned on, you'll hear this annoying hackety sound as the servos and motors do their job. Another benefit is that my microphone and my recorder, they're not connected to the camera. That means that I don't get all tangled up in a bunch of wires.
Oh my God!
That was wild. After surviving that little excitement, I think I'm going to hang out by the window here and you can see my photographer. She's taking a break reading. Go ahead and wave to her. So what gear do you need? Well, first thing is a digital recorder. Today I'm using an H4n, it could be an H6, could be a Tascam. It doesn't really matter. There are a lot of great devices out there. What is important is that the device you're using records WAV files. Why WAV files? Well, they're both recorded and played back at a constant speed. As convenient as they are, you don't want to use MP3 files. They play back at uneven speeds. The shift is imperceptible. You can't hear it just listening to the file. But when you try and sync your audio and video files in editing, they just won't line up. The next thing you need, well, it's pretty obvious, a microphone. For me, today, it's this lavalier pinned to my shirt. But it could be anything, a shotgun, a stereo mic, depending upon what your needs are. To make this work, you need to make certain your camera's recording sound. I know, the audio from your camera's file is going to sound crappy, but you're going to use that audio as reference for lining up the good audio from the digital recorder. So it's critical the audio is turned on your camera. When it's time to shoot, start your camera and your digital audio recorder, and make certain they're both rolling. And then I like to point my camera at the person who's wearing the microphone and have them clap a couple times. The reason why I do that is I'll have a visual representation of when they clap, and if the camera is too far away to be able to hear the clap, I'm going to be able to see it in editing, and then I can line it up with the waveforms. I consider it an insurance policy. I sometimes also use my smartphone as my digital audio recorder. There are a lot of apps out there, both free and paid, that'll let you record WAV files on your phone. It's important, though, that you get a microphone that you know is going to work on your phone. Not all microphones are created equal. After plugging in a microphone, put your phone in airplane mode. Press record and just put it in a pocket till you're done. Once you're done with shooting, it's on to phase 2. It's time to start editing. The first thing you need to do is import your audio and your video clips into an application that you're going to edit with. Today I'll be using Premiere. So you can see here that I've got 3 video clips and 2 audio clips from the field. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select these 3 video clips and I'm going to create a new sequence. There are 2 ways to accomplish that. One is to take the clips and then just drag them down here into the timeline. That creates a new sequence that matches the settings of your media file. That is super helpful. Essentially what it's doing is it's creating a timeline, a sequence, where the frame rate and the canvas size and all of the parameters of how to display, how to edit, how to work with this media is coincidental, matches. And that means your computer doesn't have to work as hard, and really often means your computer doesn't crash as much. It's not trying to work really hard to translate your media into a different setting. I'm going to take and expand the audio track just a little so we can see it a little bit better. You can also create a new sequence by selecting these 3 files, and you can drag them here onto the new item icon. It kind of looks like a post-it note with the corner turned up. And by dragging it and releasing it, it accomplishes exactly the same thing. Really depends upon which way you want to work. One is not better than the other. So I've got this new sequence, and you'll see that my sequence has these 3 clips, and they're in order, 18, 19, 21. And now I'm going to select my 2 audio files, and I'm going to drag them onto an audio track below my video tracks. Expand it out so we can see it a little bit better, and raise this up because we're really concentrating on the audio. Here we are. We've got all of our media in our timeline. Premiere, unfortunately, really only allows you to synchronize 1 audio and 1 video clip at a time. It doesn't do batch processing. So to facilitate that, I'm going to slide this audio clip down. I'm going to grab these 2 video clips and I'm going to slide them down. And basically, I'm just making room in the timeline, and this is going to make a little bit more sense here in a minute. So you'll see that we've got our 2 clips here at the beginning. This is at the very beginning of the timeline. Here's our video, here's our audio. If we play these 2 clips together right now, you can hear it's a bit of a train wreck. Sorry. And what we want to do is we want to synchronize these 2. Here is just the microphone possibilities. It used from the digital recorder, and this is the microphone from the camera. It's a world of really... They're not synchronized. It's all cluttered. And we want to go through and get these in alignment. So we will select these 2 clips. You can do it by one of 2 ways. You can lasso them, or you can shift click. Accomplishes the same thing. We right click, and that opens up this menu, and one of the options is here, synchronize. We select it, and this contextual menu opens up. It will probably have defaulted on clip start if you've never used this before. What we're really looking to do is synchronize via audio. Track channel 1, just fine, that's the default. We really only have audio on our first channel of each of our clips, and then all we need to do is select OK. The computer is going through and it's analyzing the waveforms of these 2 clips. It's looking at the peaks and valleys, the fingerprint of the audio of each of these clips, and looking for where they match and then sliding them so those points are coincidental. If we listen to them together now, and connect separate audio and video files, we can hear that we're in pretty good shape. But if I solo them out, I'm going to solo just the microphone. It used to be hard. This is the digital audio recorder, and this is, but now with applications like Premiere, the audio from the original camera. So now we have these pieces synchronous, and we want to start doing the next clip. Well, I know that this video clip also fits with this audio track, and I want to get it in alignment. So I'm going to tuck it right next to my previous clip, and I'm going to select my audio file and the second clip, not all 3, just my new video clip that I want to synchronize and my audio track. Right clip, after right-clicking, synchronize audio, it'll do the analysis, and boom, now this clip is synchronized. Using double system sound opens up a world of... And if we listen to them together, it used to be really hard to have to connect. So now we've got that good to go, and we're just going to work our way through the process. Here's my next audio clip. I'm going to tuck it up next to it, and my next video clip. I'll put that at the very beginning, select them both, right-click, synchronize, audio. Now, this used to be really hard to have to connect, is synchronized. So I've got all my clips synchronized now. That's really great, but the problem is this is a little cumbersome to work with. I'm going to get rid of all of this extraneous media because I don't need all this junk down here in between these clips. So I'll just razor at the beginning and end of each clip. And because I have snapping turned on, it will just lock right to the beginning of the clip. Now I'm going to select by shift clicking all of this junk I don't want. And by holding shift and then pressing delete, it telescopes everything together. It's a ripple delete that got rid of all of the media I didn't want. That's great. Now I've got audio and video that's synchronized.
Connect audio and video file.
But I've got all these extra pieces here I don't want. I'd like to just have them as like one clip in the timeline. Two ways to accomplish that. A lot of folks use a process called merge. And what it does is it will take the audio and video and allow you to basically create a new clip out of these two sources. That's really great, although in the past I've had some problems when I'm trying to trace backwards. Let's say I wanted for some reason to get the original audio from the camera. It really can be difficult to find that quickly, using a match frame function or something like that. So it's totally fine. A lot of folks use it. For me personally, I prefer to take my audio clip, my synchronized audio clip, and slide it up in the timeline and cover up the old audio, basically erase the old audio. Then select my video and my good audio. Now they're both selected, right click and tell them to link. What I've done in essence is I've created a linked relationship between these two files, and now it sees it just as a separate clip in the timeline. I'll just go through one clip at a time and slide it up, link, slide it up. The reason why I'm not using group is if I start making edits inside, if I go through and bring this up and choose group, if I go through and start making, let's say I'm looking for the best takes, and I start editing here and then edit here, what happens is, let's say I just want this piece here, it grabs all of it together because it's now a large group of clips. Not at all what I'm after. Instead, by linking, if I go here, link, and let's say I just want this clip here, and say that's my hero. Now, it treats it like a source clip where you've added edits and I can grab it and it's not all clustered together in the group. And that's the reason why I prefer to work this way. It's just a little easier for me to work in the timeline. There are other ways to be able to synchronize your audio. One of the tools I use often is a plugin. It's a third-party plugin called Pluralize. Pluralize is an incredibly robust tool. It's phenomenally good at managing a lot of clips rather than just one clip at a time. It's also very good when you have difficult clips where maybe the speed of the audio file is slightly different than your video file, or if the audio is somewhat hard to hear. This is an incredibly robust tool. I would say 80 to 90% of the time, though, I'm using the synchronize function in Premiere because it works really well. Most of my clips don't have a lot of problems, and I can quickly go through and manage the few clips I need to do, rather than having to step out, leverage a third party, bring it back in, deal with all of those things. When I have a lot of them, or it's really difficult, Pluralize is where I go, but most of the time my content's in pretty good shape and I can really quickly go through and synchronize my clips using the Premiere tool. Well, that's double system audio in a nutshell. I hope you start using it because I think you're going to find that it's going to significantly improve your work. You're going to be able to capture audio in situations and from places you never would have expected, particularly if you're using like a smartphone, a mobile phone as your one of your capture devices. It is a way that you get additional resources to tell better stories, things that are more complex. It just gives you a better palette to work from as a storyteller. So just jump in, give it a whirl. I think you're going to find double system audio is going to make a huge difference in your work.